The newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Over 100 farmers in the town of Banawe were affected by flooding and landslides triggered by heavy rains. Bon Gualvez with a report.
Lourdes diligently goes through rice stalks that can still be used as feeds in their farm here in Banawe, Ifugao. Her farm is among the areas damaged by flash flood and landslide last Thursday. The palay was supposed to be harvested in 3 days' time if it wasn't for the flooding. The yield would have provided them 5 months' worth of rice supply.
Daming proseso na gawin, tapos gumanito ang palay namin dito. Wala naman kaming kakainin kasi wala nang aanihin.
Lourdes is just one of more than 100 farmers affected by the calamity. Most of the damaged farms are part of the famous Banawe rice terraces. Assessment on the damage is still ongoing. State of calamity has also been declared as authorities expedite operations to clear mud off the streets. Residents are also helping out in the cleaning operations. But despite the risk of another landslide, the local government has no plans of relocating residents.
Wala pa pong programa ng local government dahil hindi pa identified exactly yung government property for relocation.
The Banawe LGU explains they're quick to alert residents should there be a need to evacuate. For now, the LGU says they're focused on addressing the immediate needs of residents. They also plan to resume tourism activities soon.
Affected ang livelihood. Livelihood kasi dito, walang iba kung hindi, tourism. Yung iba, yung marketability.
For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s condition is improving despite contracting COVID-19 last week. Press Secretary Chuxi Angeles says Marcos continues to work while in isolation by giving out his directives to his cabinet officials at the comfort of his home. Angeles adds that based on physical examination, Marcos's throat is clear of any inflammation. There was also no sign of distress or pneumonia, but Marcos remains under close monitoring. The president was advised to undergo isolation for 7 days in accordance with Health Department's protocols for fully vaccinated individuals. Now, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. If you're a traveler with a zest for history, then the Thornbury Castle in the United Kingdom allowing tourists to live like royalties for you. You can sleep in the very same room where Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn stayed in the 1500s. More from this in this Bloomberg Quick Take.
So we're at Thornbury Castle. We're the only Tudor castle in the UK that guests can come and enjoy an overnight stay. The castle was built 500 years ago by the 3rd Duke of Buckingham, who sadly was executed by Henry VIII because he saw him as a threat to the throne. The reason the castle is so popular with guests is because they want to immerse themselves in the history. Henry VIII stayed here with Anne Boleyn in 1535 when they were taking part in an 11-day royal tour. We still have the original castle walls, many Tudor features such as the mounting block that Henry VIII would have mounted his horse. We have 27 bedchambers, all totally unique, all with their own historic significance. We also have the Henry VIII bedchamber, has superb views across the Welsh hills and the River Severn, and has the most magnificent 4-poster bed. We are recently reopened as a Relais and Chateau property, having had a multi-million pounds investment. We're absolutely delighted with our new ownership, having bought the castle back in 2020 and having lovingly restored the castle to its original glory, together with all the modern conveniences you would expect, like underfloor heating, sumptuous roll-top baths, beautiful fine dining restaurant. So we have the perfect marriage of Tudor history together with the opulence, grandeur and luxury that you would expect from a 5-star deluxe hotel. There's so much to do at Thornbury Castle. We're lucky that we benefit from being on the edge of the Cotswolds here, so people that can come and enjoy a 2 or 3 night break have so much to do on their doorstep. They can either take part in activities in the castle grounds, such as medieval games like axe throwing, archery, falconry, which was very popular in the Tudor times, or they can chill out and enjoy a cocktail in the garden with herbs that we grow freshly in our kitchen garden. They can have one of the many fine wines we have. We have over 200 wines on our wine list. Or they can just relax with an afternoon tea by the log fire and just take a gentle walk. And then if they want to do something completely unique, we have horse and carriage rides that we can arrange for guests. We also have a helicopter landing pad outside.
Falconry was started over 5,000 years ago. Back in the time when Thornbury Castle was originated from, was more of a way of putting food on our tables. By the time we get to when Thornbury Castle was built, it was a case of sport, fun. Every bird of prey belonged to the king. You were only allowed to fly a bird if you were within or part of the royal court, and then according to how high up in the status symbols as to how big your bird was. So the only person allowed to fly an eagle in these grounds would have been Henry VIII.
We're in the castle kitchen garden. This is where the chef, Carl Cleghorn, grows lots of fruits and vegetables that we use seasonally through the year. So he grows things like courgettes, wild garlic, rhubarb, and what's lovely is we use all the herbs and all the edible leaves from the plants as part of our cocktail menu. We also decorate many of our desserts with some of the edible leaves. And all the fruits and vegetables pretty much come from garden to plate during the whole summer and autumn season.
When I joined the castle, homegrown produce is a real passion of mine. And I think it's great not just for the guests, but the chefs, not just for me, but my guys as well, that we grow the best produce that we can in quantity. It's just an inspiration really to know that all that great produce is grown on site and not just grown but foraged around the property as well. So along the borders of the actual property, we've got countless amounts of foraging. We've got berries, elderflower, elderberries, wild garlic, which every chef loves wild garlic when it comes into season. My cooking style's modern British. There's a bit of a French influence in there as well. I like to take classical food combinations and just put my twist on it. And what I want is to create that experience for those guests of almost bringing a little bit of nostalgia. If I can trigger a little memory of, whether it's currently our rhubarb dish that we get the rhubarb from the garden, of like a rhubarb and custard that they used to have as a child. And I think when you can get that little bit of nostalgia, that memory, it lasts, and they all of a sudden have a completely different experience.
Now here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. Vice President Sara Duterte transfers the office of the Vice President to Mandaluyong City. The country's Muslim community celebrated Eid al-Adha. And in sports, Converge is in for a winning streak after fending off the undermanned Northport 104-98, while Rain and Shine kept its playoff hopes alive with a win over NLEX 96-86. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1:30 in the afternoon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.